Sarah, good afternoon. How the angel are you today?
Good afternoon. I love that phrase, Erin. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely swell, thank you. Absolutely
Good,
swell. Now,
good.
many people may recognise the voice this afternoon, but not necessarily the face. I mean that in a really nice way. Hopefully the penny will drop in a second when you explain who you are and what it is you do.
Yeah. My name is Sara Starling and I am a voiceover artist. So I've been voicing for around 30 years. The first half of my career was spent at the BBC, voicing across TV and radio. So you may have heard me there. And then I've been self-employed as a voiceover artist since 2006, voicing everything from TV and radio commercials to corporate videos, e-learning courses, audio guides for museums, travel guides, on hold messages for people like Ocado, anything and everything. I'm even the voice of a defibrillator. Where does it end? Who knows?
Well, thank you for that. This year's been a huge upheaval for everybody in many different ways. How has it been for you? I mean, has business been quieter, busier over the past few months? Have the approaches and needs of your clients changed?
It's been interesting, Erin. I think it's been interesting for everyone. I really didn't know how it would go. But actually, when lockdown happened, it was incredibly busy for a few weeks because lots of businesses and clients needed to know obviously what they were doing and let people know what they were doing, let their clients know. So it was incredibly busy, particularly with on-hold messaging. And then came the medical narrations, COVID related, and also completely unrelated to COVID. I had, I think, 1 or 2 days when it was very quiet, and then it just picked up again with all sorts of different projects and clients new and old. And some clients who I hear from on a very regular basis were quieter, and some clients who I've never worked with before suddenly landed in my inbox. So it was a really interesting time, and it kind of continues. The work that I do is very unpredictable anyway, but it's just become even more unpredictable. And how it will go, I don't know, because the lead up to Christmas, autumn and winter is usually the busiest of times. But whether it will be this year, I really don't know. I don't have a feel for it yet, so we'll see.
Ooh, time will tell on
Mm,
that one.
mm, yeah,
And it's
but also just going back to your question about how relationships changed. What was really interesting was, particularly during lockdown, was that I think that people related to each other on a more fundamental level. So, and people were having to make all sorts of compromises. Thankfully, I work from my own studio remotely, so I didn't have to make any compromises. But sometimes if I was working with another studio, there might be a producer dialing into that studio rather than attending. And I remember one session and I could hear birdsong in the background. And I said, "Where's the birdsong coming from?" And it was the producer who was, I don't know, in Liverpool or somewhere. She said, "Oh, I've got my kitchen window open." And that kind of level of humanity and, kind of the natural world really just trickling into what's a very strange environment, artificial, technical environment, was actually really lovely. And when, somebody asked you, "How are you?" they actually meant it. So I think that was actually quite nice. Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah, very much so. Nature coming in through the audio there,
Yeah.
and people really wanted to know how their fellow humans and fellow colleagues are. That's lovely.
Mm.
And you
Mm.
touched on, I mean, some of the work that you do there, the TV, the corporate, the radio, and the e-learning, and much more besides. Um,
Yeah,
it sounds like no day is ever the same for you.
it isn't. It isn't. And not only that, I can start the day with a completely empty diary, and then all of a sudden I'm chock-a-block. Or, I can start with bookings and they mount up, or, it can be a quieter day. No 2 days are the same. The amount of gear shifting sometimes is quite something. I mean, I can go from a radio commercial for Mary Berry's new book to an e-learning course about cylinders. It's, and also obviously, when you're running a business, you have to think about the admin side and the marketing side. So all of those things are factored in as well. So yeah, it's the variety is immense. which is
Oh,
the way I
good.
like it, to be honest.
I like the way you describe it, gear shifting.
Mm,
It's like that you go from second gear with a project that needs sort of quieter and more relaxed voice to something that's
yeah,
faster paced, and you've got to jump into the top gear and go boom down that road.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to know how to kind of gather your strength or slow yourself down or whatever might be needed really quickly to make those shifts. Yeah.
Gosh. You touched on it earlier when you said about your work with the BBC and that. How did you
Mm.
actually? How did your whole career begin? You know, how did you get into it?
Well, everybody seems to come at voiceover from a very different route. Um, for me, I was one of those kids who loved reading aloud. I remember when I was at infant school, being asked to read from the Bible, and I thought, why am I being asked to do this? And it turned out I was auditioning for the part of Mary in the school nativity. I didn't know anyway. That's I got the part, but and then I kind of went on to really love English and really love drama, and everybody else hated reading aloud, but I loved it. And I had a tape recorder, which was my best Christmas present ever, and I was forever messing about with it. So I went to university and I studied drama and theatre and TV at a time when those courses were really first being introduced. Yes, I am old. But there was a guy who assisted in the technical department on that course who had worked for the BBC as a studio manager in radio. And he saw my interest in sound and he said to me, you should consider applying for a job as a studio manager. And at that time, they would advertise, I don't know, 50 or 20 traineeships. So I saw this advertised not long before I sat my finals. And during school and during university, all the careers advisors said, oh, you'll never work at the BBC. And I thought, you watch me. So I applied and I got the job the day I sat my finals. So I started in radio as a studio manager, or as a sound engineer, if you like, working across all the stations, Radio 4 mainly, a bit of Radio 5, Radio 2 and so on. So I did that for about 5 years, but I always knew I wanted to be the other side of the microphone. And through a whole series of kind of coincidences and hard work, I ended up doing just that. I got a job in television as an announcer, but it's far more than talking. It was sitting behind a mixing desk, transmitting programs, all the stuff between the programs, pressing loads of buttons and doing the talking and dealing with failed floodlights at a live rugby match and, all this kind of stuff. And so I did that across TV and radio for many years. And then there came a point where the technical side of the job was actually the majority of the work, and the speaking and the kind of dealing with scripts and so on was the smallest, although not the least important at all. It wasn't a very important part of the job, but it was becoming less and less in terms of time spent, and it was the part that I enjoyed the most. So a whole series of circumstances kind of came together, and I thought, if I'm going to make the leap, now is the time to do it. So I did. We moved house a couple of times, and my husband made changes. He works for the BBC still, and it was the time for me to set up on my own as a voiceover artist, which was kind of like starting again, really. Not in terms of the actual work, but in terms of finding clients and running a business and all those kinds of things. So yeah, that's my route.
And the rest is history.
It is. It is.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. What a wonderful history.
Thank you.
That's lovely and very warm too, which is great. Now, that's your history. So for the young generation who are starting out on career paths and thinking what to do with their life and looking where to go, what advice would you give them if they wanted to come into this industry?
Well, I'm a realist, so I will be realistic about it. It's a very saturated industry. There are a lot of voiceovers out there, partly because the technology has changed so much that it's more accessible. I would say it's not glamorous. Whatever you may think, it's not glamorous. And it involves a lot more skills than you might think. There are all the technical skills for a start. Most voiceovers these days have their own equipment, know how to edit, know how to record themselves, etc., etc. And there's the cost of all of that too. You have to know how to listen. You have to know how to empathize, how to communicate, how to interpret a script, how to fit a script that might have been vastly overwritten into 30 seconds without sounding as though you're talking very quickly. You have to be cool under pressure when things are falling apart or people are falling apart. And you really have to know how to relate to people. So I like to say that really the job is, my work is all about human connection. Another voiceover might say something different, but for me, it's all about human connection. So it's about being able to listen to a client, look at the brand or whatever the project is that they're bringing, talk about core values or at least understand them, and then be able to include them in your vocals in the way that you interpret the copy, but also to be able to do that in a way that is relatable to their core audience. So you have to be able to put yourself in everybody's shoes and still do your job and make it creative and make it the best it can be and make complete sense of it. So there's more to it than might meet the ear or the eye, and it's quite a complicated job. And it's also, you also have to bear in mind that you will be working on your own a lot of the time, and this drives some people insane, because really you're in a padded cell a lot of the time talking to yourself. I mean, you're never talking to yourself and it's never just talking, but if you're the kind of person who enjoys an office environment, I know it's all rather different at the moment, but pre-COVID, an office environment and interaction with other people throughout the day, then this might not be the job for you, because that's not the way it is. So you need to bear all of those elements in mind before you think about it and mull those things over. If you decide it is absolutely for you and it's the only thing that you want to do, then go for it. And I would suggest the first thing you do is to look and listen at all the stuff that's out there. Listen to the professional voiceovers who are out there, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they sound. Listen to TV ads and corporates and the things that are out there on the internet, and see what the current trend is, because trends change. And then when you're ready, you may need some training. There are plenty of places for you to get training these days. You may need some training, and then it'll be a case of creating reels with somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows what the market is, who can work out with you what your strengths are and where your USP might lie and where you sit in the market. That's my advice.
That's brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. And I love the fact that you got in there about just go for it, like you did when they said you wouldn't get to the BBC, and you said, just watch me. And you're passing that on, saying if it's what you like, just go for it, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And also human connection and empathy, absolutely wonderful. So now you're an award-winning artist, and I've been wanting to ask you for ages. Come on, don't be shy. What awards have you won?
So I've won a few awards over the years. A Best Female Voiceover Artist, Best E-Learning Voiceover. I've been nominated and a finalist for voiceovers for radio imaging and all sorts of things. For a range of projects, for projects about health, for a corporate video for Brussels Airport, all sorts of things.
Well done. It's good to get recognised by your industry and your peers, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And also, I mean, in the latest batch of awards, I didn't win this time, but I was shortlisted for Best Radio Commercial and Best E-Learning Voiceover. But there were nearly 3,000 entrants.
Wow.
So, to have won a few and to have been a finalist a few times, I think I'm quite pleased with that, really.
Absolutely. It's good for the business, and it's a good mental boost as well.
It is, yeah.
Now, Sarah, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, and you've finished recording, you've turned off the microphone, you've taken off the earphones, and you exit the booth, what do you do to unwind and relax?
That. I I I start the day, let's start at that end of the day. I start the day with yoga, which I love. It's really good for being mindful, being present, for breath control, which is incredibly important for a voiceover artist because the breath is the foundation of the voice. And I might end the day with yoga. I really like to get out for a walk. It just puts the world in perspective. And also, as I say, when you're in an artificial environment for most of the day, it's very nice to be able to get out and reconnect with nature. So I might take the dog if she's willing. She's not always willing, so I might go on my own if she's not up to it. And kind of, you know, at the moment, with the way that things are, and we're in another semi-lockdown here, you know, those are kind of the only options, really. Yes, I can meet somebody for a socially distant walk, maybe. I would have said go to the cinema and various other things, but we can't right now. I love to listen to the radio. I love to listen to podcasts, a good drama on the telly, a good film. But yeah, walking, and I think walking has become more and more important actually over the years, particularly with this job.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of getting out there and walking. It's wonderful. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing this afternoon. Are you going for a walk this evening when we finish?
I will be, yes.
Excellent. Well, enjoy your walk. I'll see you in a few weeks. Until then, take care.
Lovely to talk to you. Thanks, Aaron. You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey there, I really hope that you enjoyed our latest video. If you did, make sure that you like and comment below. Also, to stay up to date, make sure that you press the subscribe button. You can also follow the link below to visit our business directory. Thank you.